What would you do if in the middle of summer it spontaneously turned to winter?
This is not what I had in mind when I came to California.
Well, that's exactly what happened to me on this adventure. Today marks day 9 of the Odyssey Tour. We're one day away from the ocean in the middle of California, and last night I slept in a grocery store in the small town of Alpine, just outside San Diego. And being in the middle of all these mountains, I got something special cooking up. I did some Strava snooping and found an insane 100-mile loop in the Cleveland National Forest with 3 mountain summits and hopefully a ton of beautiful views. And with that, we're off on what I like to call my comfortably early 8 a.m. start. I'm loaded up with food, including my overflowing Camelback, which has become a staple on these rides. Right off the hop, I got a questionably friendly hello from some dogs. The first 14 kilometers were all uphill, and I was feeling really good today. After winding my way through the outskirts of town, the road turned to a gravel climb, and this was just one of those perfect moments where all you feel is happiness. The road was smooth, the sky was blue, the views were insane, I had so much energy. I was pushing 300 watts and it felt like nothing. And over the top I spotted my first snowy peak, which was extra stunning to me after spending the last week in the desert. The next 15 kilometers I snaked my way through the mountainous countryside, and I certainly would have been lost if not for my pre-mapped route on my bike computer. And that led me to the base of the first summit. This first climb was just under 5k at about 4.6%, which was deceptively hard with pitches all the way up to 21% and the road being so damp and rough. As soon as I entered the dirt road, I immediately felt like I was in the wilderness, just me alone with a less explored road. Okay, I'm gonna let you in on a little life secret right now. Cardio, whether it's hiking, running, cycling, mixed with exploring a new place, feels amazing. I don't know why, but every time it triggers some deep sense of fulfillment, like I'm in the right place, doing exactly what I need to be doing right now. When I left the town of Alpine, I was roughly at an elevation of 600 meters above sea level, but since then, the road is pointed up, with this climb summiting at 1400 meters. So when I reached the top, I was in for a treat. It was so peaceful and majestic with the warm sun and the calm breeze. When you're on top of a mountain, looking over the distant landscape, there's just something mesmerizing that makes me feel like I could look at it for hours. But I didn't. With 130 kilometers still on the agenda, I sent it down the backside of the mountain. After cycling all the way up, you might think, hey, Craig, I'm sure it's easy going down the backside, nice and relaxing. No, you're wrong. It's not. Look at these rocks, look how rough it is. I'm gripping on my bars for my life, and honestly, the last thing I'm looking at right now is the view. But hey, full sending it down sketchy gravel roads, that's half the fun. After a thrilling 20-minute descent, I was back in the California farmlands. I passed a farmer fixing up the dirt roads, which is always good to see. I had about 20 kilometers of respite until the base of the next summit. Next up is a classic climb among the locals, but I don't really know how to pronounce it. It's spelled like Mount Laguna, but I heard some locals say Mount Laguna. Either way, it's going to be a killer ride, because this climb is long. It's 13 kilometers at 5.4%, which means I'd be climbing over twice the height of the Eiffel Tower. Coming into the base of the climb, I hit a point I recognized, as I drove under the interstate I had just drove last night. And out the other side, the road turned to dirt and the climb started. As I pedaled myself into the sky, I lost myself again in that dreamy, blissful feeling you get when you mix cardio and exploring. Now in my dream state, I biked right past a road closed sign, and I would normally do this anyways because usually that's meant for cars, not cyclists. Shortly after the sign, I noticed some snow on the side of the road, but with no snow in the peaks ahead, I didn't think anything of it, but slowly the road got softer.
Oh, this road is so mean. This stuff's so soft. Oh, we're getting high elevation. It's 10%. That there went up to 15. I'm literally dying. I need a break. I'm fucking dying.
This road is crazy. I think that's the first time in my entire life I had to stop while biking uphill just because it was too hard. But as the dirt turned to mud and the snow started to pile up, I had to do 500 watts just to keep moving. To give you some perspective, 500 watts is what peak doping Lance Armstrong would do up a mountain, and I can't hold that very long. I was only able to bike a little further before I had to start walking. I noticed another person had also walked their bike up, giving me a bit of hope that the road would get better.
You can clear as day see someone else has been here.
Honestly, at this point, the idea of turning around had never even entered my mind. I didn't want to abandon my quest, my route, my adventure, and go back the way I came. Whenever I could, I tried riding my bike, but around every corner was more snow.
Hey, he walked this. This is way better.
So I kept hiking, and even jogging at times. Eventually I made it to a fork in the road, and my footprint friend went one way and my route went another. Despite being on my route, I felt crazy lost. So I decided to place my trust in the other crazy cyclist that decided to walk an hour up a snowy mountain. But after a few hundred meters, I realized this alternative route was just taking me back down the mountain. So I took a U-turn back onto my route.
I'm gonna try and go this way. We came from this direction. This is not what I had in mind when I came to California. More snow than Kincardine.
After only a few minutes back onto my route, I hit a dead end, a do not enter sign. Now my route actually had me going right through the gate, and I'm not afraid of ignoring signs, but with a blocked road, an unknown path, hours into my ride, I decided to turn back.
I'm back at the junction. Walker bike guy went this way. We came from this way, and just over there is dead end. So I'm gonna make the call to just go back the way I came. I think that's the better part of like 13 kilometers down, probably about 5 kilometers of just muck. I'm 75K into this ride, so it's looking like it's close to, like it was supposed to be 100 miles. I'm just gonna go back the way I came, so still gonna be a good 3-4 hours to get home. See if I can even get back before dark.
Now as I took off down the mountain, I was shaking my head. What in the world am I doing? I was supposed to be out for a bike, and I just walked an hour through wet snow and mud up a mountain, carrying my bike in cycling shoes. For what? For fun? Not really. For a workout? I guess. I still did average a good heart rate going up. No, I did it for the adventure, for the experience. You can experience the world through movies, books, stories, and even Google Maps for Pete's sakes. But nothing compares to exploring the world with your own 2 eyes, mentally mapping the roads and mountains in your mind, experiencing the beauty and the suffering it has to offer. I freaking love it. The ride down felt way better than the way up. I was able to ride the whole way down, even through the snow and mud. And once I hit the gate, the snow disappeared and it was just a vibey descent back down to the interstate. At this point, I'm mentally toasted and I just want to get back to my car as fast as possible. After a quick little Google search, apparently I could take my bike on the interstate, so I was going to try that. While I was stopped, I gave Roberta a quick call and accidentally left my camera running, so here's a little snip of our phone call of how I was actually feeling in the moment.
I don't know, I just like 2 rides like this in 1 week where like, it's just, man, it really hurts my heart. Like I really feel, I just wanted to crawl up and fucking cry. Like, it was my own fault. I shouldn't have, but I just like, I don't like quitting. And like, it feels like I'm quitting if I turn around, especially if I don't know what it's like up the road. I'm not upset with myself. I'm just exhausted.
Safe to say I wasn't in the best of moods, but I took off anyway. I tried to get on the interstate, but then I saw a no cycling sign. So I quickly did a U-turn and I was able to take Old Highway 80. This road followed the interstate for a while and let me bypass that gnarly dirt climb I did earlier. And boy was I happy I didn't take the interstate. This old highway ended up being gorgeous. I guess that's another lesson that the shortest way isn't always the best way. I found that the longer I biked, the better I felt. Now all I had was one small mountain climb, then it was all downhill to the car.
Snowy peaks there. And then I think that's where I was, that little snowy mound there. Downhill now. Praise the Lord. See the coast.
Over the last mountain, I was straight up blessed with a golden hour descent, and after an hour and a half of hike-a-bike through mud and snow, I honestly have no words to describe how incredible this moment was. All the suffering I went through today was definitely worth it just for this view. In fact, I think the suffering actually made this view even more meaningful. And after a dreamlike descent and a scoot through the outskirts of town, I was back in Alpine.
I'm alive. I can't believe it.
Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like and subscribe because that really helps out the channel. Next up in the Odyssey tour, I head back to Arizona for a gravel race through the desert. Oh, and I may have stopped at a few cool places along the way.